So we are live now. Welcome everyone to the chat. We're all stuck in the house with coronavirus or hiding from coronavirus. So we thought we would hop on here and banter with you folks. And got a couple guests who you've not seen before. So I'll just kind of go on my screen from left to right. Obviously, you're on my channel, so you know who I am. We've got Coy. I'll just call you Coy because that's what your screen says. So Coy, say hello to everyone.
Everybody.
And then we've got Brian, who also has a YouTube channel under the name of Loudener, if you want to check him out.
I actually just got an Instagram too. I'm fancy now.
You got Instagram, so you're not totally against social media, huh?
Yeah, this is part of the whole thing, right? I get stuck inside and I got to figure out something else to do to make me unbored. So
that's fair. That's certainly fair. I apologize to everyone. All my iDevices don't work to host these chats, so I am having to slum it with the I don't even know what this is, my work laptop. So, but it's pretty light for now, but let's go ahead and jump in. So obviously there's coronavirus and basically all the matches have been canceled. Originally the question was, how does it affect your shooting? And the answer is it's completely stopped it, at least on a competitive level. So I kind of want to turn it around, see if we can do it a positive. I mean, what are you doing to try and make a positive out of this for the shut-in? Brian, it sounds like you've got some thoughts you're going with there.
Yeah, I'm dry firing like mad right now. Part of the thing is I'm trying to transition over from Glock 34 to Walther Q5 steel frame. So basically, anytime I get downtime or if I'm stuck in one of those really boring online meetings, I'll spend my time with it dry firing.
Dry fire is a good thing to do. Coy, I saw your Instagram today, so I know you've been hitting the dry fire as well.
Just a little bit. Yeah, so it's I guess a bit convenient. I switched to open pretty recently and trying to do a little bit of catch up because the guys shooting majors at A are pretty tough. So like a little bit of forced dry fire time's been okay.
I guess that's we should kind of throw that out. So everyone in the chat is at least an A at their highest class. Actually, everyone in the chat's an M as their highest classification. So welcome to the master chat. This is the master chat for the evening. So it's pretty exciting, I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah, what's that?
I'm an A class in production.
Oh, fair enough.
Actually, I was a 68% B class before I bumped to master and CO.
So you're 68% A class?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
nice.
Reloading is hard.
Yeah, reloading is hard. It's for the birds.
Yeah, I cap all the way.
Yeah, Coy switched to a really beautiful Atlas open gun at the beginning of the year. And, didn't dry fire or anything with it at all. Had problems indexing with it. Had problems with the safety. Had problems with the super light trigger.
Are you shooting with your pinky up while you shoot it?
What's that?
You got to shoot with your pinky up. You got it's a fancy gun. You got to be
You have to turn your nose up in the air at all the other shooters. That's how you shoot it properly. You already wear the fancy sleeves, so I mean you're like 3/4 of the way there, dude.
Nice.
That'd be another fun things that to think about open shooters. So in the chat we've got Bald and Curious, Big Johnson, and Manny Things all in there. This would be a good one. We'll just jump in with this for you there, Brian, since you would know this one well. What do you think about the grip size on the Walther? You've got pretty big hands, don't you?
Say again, you cut out.
The grip size on the Walther, what do you think about that? You're competing with a steel frame now, aren't you?
Yeah, the stock grip size is too small, way too small. Yeah, that's a fail boat. I actually ordered from Lock Grips. I had them make me an actual extra thick set of bogeys. So not only are the palm full of bogeys, but they're actually thicker. Only because I have weirdly mutantly large hands. So, but yeah, for me with large hands, it's not quite big enough. I run a large back strap on the modular Glocks as well, so that if that's a reference point for anybody, that might be helpful. But the other thing is the grip texture on those grips, the stock ones, not so good. So I would even if the grip size is good or you want smaller, I'd still go with like an aftermarket set of grips.
Yeah. You messed around with the Walthers at all, Coy?
I did. I kind of wasn't necessarily a fan of it's not anything to do with the size, but the back of the back strap is a bit square. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. And got one of these like weird thumb knuckle things where it just like the edge of the back strap would like ride right on top of the knuckle. So it was like,
you mean beaver tail?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to grip them weird. That's one thing I had to adapt to. Like they have the relief cuts, but your hand has to be in this weird, like it's almost like you're like cocked up position in order to grip. Where I'm used to, breaking my wrists over center like I would with a Glock, but with the Walther, I almost have to break my wrist flat in order to get it in the right spot. Once you do, it's weird. It's suddenly you're like, wow, I have all the grip in the world, but right up until then, it feels awkward or it digs into your knuckles and feels terrible. If you're used to shooting 2011s, it's not going to feel right to you.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. I actually think I liked the what do you call it? The not the steel frame, but the one that came out before that. The
Q5 match.
Yeah, the Q5 match. I like that quite a bit. But I wasn't a huge fan just because of that like thumb knuckle beaver tail thing.
Well, according to Bald and Curious, the Walter rep was a real dick at SHOT Show last year when I told him it was a mistake making that gun with a small grip. And I agree. They should have made 17 round mag tubes and reformed the grip to it. And they could use the 17 round mags on all the other Walters, and that gun could only take 17 round mags and it would have been fine. But I don't know if it would have fit in the box if they'd done that.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I do know that, yeah, it would have been better had they gone a little bit. I mean, they wouldn't even have to go that much, like a quarter inch longer with my hands. I would love to have a little bit more. I have to be really careful not to actually pinch the side of my hands on reloads, which I
was going to ask that question. I have that problem on like Glock 19 size grips, and that's basically what that grip is.
With the grips big enough, it gets your hands away from the mag wells, not a problem. If the grips are a little undersized for you, then yeah, you're pinch city, brother.
Yeah, for sure. Just so the chat doesn't scroll away from us. Thoughts on round nose versus truncated cone for reloading for competition. Also about heavier bullets, 125, 135, 147 for 9mm. Who wants to take that one?
I mean, I've been talking a lot, but I have firm opinions on these things.
That's why I got you, bro. That's what you're here for. Coy has some good snark too, so I'm waiting for him to drop his dry sense of humor. It's going to be fair.
All right, I'll take a shot and we'll see if we agree. So I assume we're talking about not shooting open, not shooting major. So I feel like
9 minor, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like 147s feels a little slower. Not so slow you would notice, but like if you're kind of new to getting like really good grip or something like that, it'll feel like the gun track's a bit better. But outside of that, I mean, if you grip the gun real hard for me, like I can't honestly tell the difference between like 115s, 147s. Kind of it like in my head, I say like, okay, it feels a little snappier. The faster it goes and the lower the grain weight is, but honestly, there's not much of a difference.
Yeah, I'll jump in with that as well. I was loading 135s for a good bit of last year, just messing around with them, and then I accidentally ordered 125s. And the only big difference I noticed on the load is that I got 200 more projectiles per case due to the size difference or whatever. And so it was better to me because I could shoot more for about the same amount of money. So I didn't notice a big performance difference, although some people swear up and down there's a huge now let's throw it over to the voice of dissent over there.
So reloading is for chumps, both with magazines and for reloading ammo.
I like that ammo during scarce times.
I have a stockpile, brother. There's a reason I own a lot. No, but depending on the gun, like honestly, like the biggest thing I found is that as far as the nose, that honestly depends on the ramp, and that's going to vary gun to gun. The biggest thing you'll find is bullet weight. You got to make power factor one way or the other. The biggest thing I found is if you're running a lightweight, like polymer gun, something like the Glocks, they tend to like the heavier stuff. I found that they cycle a little bit better. They tend to, stay a little bit flatter. The recoil impulse isn't quite as sharp. And then for metal guns, typically I tend to see the 124, 125 range. There is an exception to that, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. I was shooting Aguila 124s when, 2 weeks ago now, I won the Carry Optics division of the Gulf Coast Championship. So you can shoot either. I haven't seen a huge difference. It's just the Aguila is cheap. It cycles well. It shoots fairly flat, so I can rely on it, which is why I go with it. But I think in the end, it's just a matter of taste. And the people who are like, this is the absolute answer. It's like, yeah, okay, you can go take a flying leap. It's whatever runs well on your gun, and you're gonna have to tune your springs to it anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Tuning the spring on if you are playing with projectile weights and you don't have a guide rod that you can change spring weights on, you're doing it wrong.
Yep.
Like it's not a question that you can say like, well, this is clearly better. It's only clearly better if you can optimize it with the spring weight on your recoil spring. I mean, that's 1,000 times true in an open gun, as I'm sure you can attest, Coy. But he's running it in a Glock 45, he says. So let's temper that advice to a Glock 45. For me, I would say, yeah, you probably do want to use the 147s on a 45.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the powder. Again, if you're worried about making power factor, or if you're worried about how fast it's cycling. But yeah, I would say 147s. It flattens the curve of the recoil impulse.
Oh, COVID reference. 2 internet points for Brian.
Anyway.
What are your thoughts, Coy, now that we know it's for a 45?
I'm still in the kind of doesn't matter camp. If you want to get like every little bit of performance out of it, like, and want to have a little bit of an easier time, then 147s is kind of the way to go. But other than that, I mean, you could shoot anything.
I don't disagree. There's another, we'll do this one and then we'll get back to our agenda. You guys don't know this about our good friend Loudner over there, but he is also a Glock aficionado, if not a bigger trigger snob for Glocks. And Coy, before he switched to open, was hanging out with me in open pours shooting Glock 17s.
Nice.
Sure.
So we have a pretty qualified opinion or a panel to give opinions on this. So are people still running Wallace connectors in the Glocks? I have just thrown in a Ghost Edge connector and I'm loving it, but don't see many others. I'll just put my hand up right there because I use the Black Yikes from Glock Store, which is a Wallace 3-pound connector. What are you using in your guns, Loudner?
Okay, so mine you can find at the edge of the precious, and I'll leave it at that. Only because before any of that went down. Generally, most of my Glocks are pretty well worn in. And no, I don't like a firm wall. It's a little weird. The Walther has a wall, so I'm trying to get used to that. But with the Glocks, definitely for sure, having a rolling break is much more controllable, especially with the dot. Actually, I found I think rolling breaks are more controllable with the dot than not. So yeah, generally wallless rolling break, however you want to describe it, that's generally what I prefer. My guns are all sort of mishmash, although my carry guns are they're all pyramid triggers from Glock Store. I like the pyramid trigger.
Those are nice triggers.
Yeah, they're not cheap, but honestly, they work well.
Oh, I'd show you, but YouTube would shut us down. I've got a pyramid trigger in my carry gun.
Yeah.
What you, Coy? How'd you have your trigger set?
So don't judge me, guys. I don't even know what a Wallace connector is, so I feel a little bit uneducated. I just use like a Glock minus connector. That's it.
A Wallace connector is basically a 3-pound connector, so that the creep in a Glock trigger. They basically elongated it the whole way through the trigger pull, so it just like it's a bunch of creep and then it breaks. So it's like a rolling break, but really it's just like elongated creep is all it is. But if it's a really smooth surface, it feels nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I've got video of me breaking 13 and 11 splits consistently at C-zones with rolling break triggers out of a Glock 34. So
I didn't believe it either, and then he showed me the video. I was like, well, damn it, I'm doing it wrong.
All right.
Party trick, man.
It is a party
trick. All right, let's get that out of there. So with all this coronavirus, are you thinking about changing your practice schedules to maintain your ammo stockpile, or are you going to live fire at the same rate? I mean, what changes are you going to make to your practice regimen given the landscape that we find ourselves in?
I don't know. For me, I still have access to a range to practice at because it's a private range, and the whole social distancing thing can be done. Technically, I guess we're on lockdown now down here in Austin, so we're not supposed to be traveling without cause or whatever. But I mean, I'm not sure how they can reasonably just randomly pull people over for that. So realistically, I will probably try to get to the range once a week. I will probably be pretty picky about how much ammo I spend though while I do it. So it'll probably be 100 or 150 round practice sessions with a lot of dry fire in between while I'm on range. Luckily for me, there's a lot of stuff I'm working on that's like movement related. So I can actually do a lot of dry fire work to get worked up into it and then do some just proof of concept with live fire. So it works out for me.
How about you living the 9 major life there, Coy?
So Corona's actually worked out pretty okay. I get a lot of reloading time, and I have to reload, unfortunately, so I don't get to live that no reload life like Ryan over there. The weather's not really been cooperating, so my ammo stance.
No, the weather has sucked balls this year, man.
Yeah, I think it's rained.
It was the first nice day all spring.
Yeah. So I mean, as soon as the weather lets up, I kind of don't plan to change anything. So I was already, I guess, like on a weekly live fire match schedule. So the only thing it's going to change is all of my live fire, match ammo is going to turn into more live fire ammo. So probably pounding at like 500 rounds a live fire session.
Yeah, I think I'll probably end up doing that just because, I mean, even Gallant told me today that they had more bullet sales between March 13 and 16 than they did last Black Friday weekend when they did a big sale. So they have a 3 to 4 week backlog in production because, I mean, their inventory system will let them run through all their inventory and then pre-order. So they sent out a note on, they're basically only stocking the, bread and butter calibers. They're not messing around with like 44 Magnum projectiles or any of that nonsense. It's just a standard weight 9, 40, 45 projectiles now as they burn through the backlog. But yeah, they're probably 3 to 4 weeks out on orders right now. So that kind of changes things because I thought I could get projectiles. I was like, there's going to be a run on primers and powders. The projectiles aren't going to be hit, but the projectiles got hit. And I mean, I've got a couple months worth on hand. So I need to get another order in so I can go ahead and start that clock ticking. But I think I'm with you. I think I'm going to be more prudent on actually trying to actually dry fire drills at the range. And what would generally be a 300 round session might be a 150 to 200 round session. And it's going to take just as long, but I'm going to actually work some dry fire in and see if I can't work stuff down. But that's probably the biggest thing. And the other thing is that I probably am not going to be shooting rounds in matches for the next, month to 6 weeks. Okay, if we had to place bets right now, Coy, when do you think we get the first major match that isn't postponed?
So no kidding. I think not through past September. I just got an email from the Area 4 match director that for non-payment, and I'm thinking I'm not that worried about it because I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. If the Olympics is getting pushed, I'm pretty sure Area 4 is getting pushed.
Yeah, but it's Area 4 and it's in Fort Smith, so who cares?
Yeah, Brian's not going to Area 4. I'm looking forward to that. It's in September, and you think they're going to have an issue in September on Area 4, really?
Yeah, same. I'm signed up for Area 1 in Washington right now, and I'm pretty sure that's going to be gone too. And that's in July.
We got approved for our North Texas Open on the first weekend in October, which is heaven as far as the weather is concerned, but maybe the Rona is going to lock us out too. Sure hope not. But I'm not going to bank on that. I'm going to bank on the fact that it's going to go forward.
Like end of March now, and what's the average lifespan of this according to all the predictions? Like 6 months. So we're looking at end of September, ideally.
Yeah, but all the free
area matches getting canceled, but regional matches like the one that we're putting on, I mean, nobody's flying in for that. I could see putting that on because I think we could manage it with social distancing correctly because we could keep 10-person squads and call it good. But yeah.
Well, but even that, like a lot of the social distancing stuff they've been talking about is like, well, it's temporarily until they can feel like they've got a quash on what's going on. And that's the idea is that fewer people get infected, then they can get a quash and get it zeroed out versus causing a bloom of infection. So, if we're looking at it and it's like, hey, they got it quashed by May, then realistically local matches will probably be back on. I mean, all the stuff that we've got right now, all the restrictions are either through the middle or the end of April.
Yeah. So far, but there could be another round for all we know.
hopefully not.
Hit some of the comments in chat. Bald says that he's going to be shooting Maryland State IDPA on May 1st, but hasn't sent his payment yet. I think that's a good idea. Andrew Whistler says that sent his check for Area 8 in August, and he half expects to see it back. I'd say that's probably like a 75-25, a 75% chance of going. Probably that's my guess.
I don't know. I'm signed up for that Team Motley match that's in August in Odessa, which that's just a terrible combination of things. But I figured, August in Odessa, bro, it's gonna be rough. But I mean, like, it's like, was it? They're the Laser Ninja Dragons or something like that. It's like one of the most
it's the most awesome USPSA club ever. Just the name is anyway.
Yeah. So I have to go out there and shoot that match. So hopefully that one goes well.
All right, let's throw this one up there so Coy can get his turn in there. Go ahead, buddy.
I guess what about 9 major?
I can field it. So if you're not shooting a $7,000 open gun, don't shoot 9 major. That's the what 9 major is, and you might have noticed it in John Wick 3 because they talk about it in John Wick 3. It's loaded way past SAMI specs as far as the pressure and the overall length. The barrel throats have to be reamed out so you can. What do you load to, Coy? Like 1.2?
It's pretty close to 117.
117. Okay, so most magazines won't accept rounds longer than 1165. Some are even less than that. So, but it's a hollow point you're loading out the 117. So that has a really steep kind of shoulder, and most guns would choke on it, wouldn't even chamber it. But it's got a super slow powder. I mean, I'm using a sport pistol load that loads up. I think I'm loading 3.9 grains of sport pistol. How many grains of powder are you jamming in that 9mm case?
So nobody copy this. I'm shooting 10.2 grains.
10.2 grains. God.
Just pour it in the case and scrape off the top and jam the bullet in.
I'm using really fast powder, so I'd expect using a slow powder you would use more. But not only are you using a slow powder, you're using 3 times as much of it, basically.
Yeah.
So the whole theory is that it has a lot of gas because he's got a big old top hanging off the end of his gun, and it's going to vent the gas up into the sides to stabilize the gun and recoil. But the effect of shooting a gun loaded like that, which is harder to shoot and hold on target, your 9 major gun or a carry optics gun?
Definitely the open gun. You can kind of see the dot track like really consistently with a regular gun. With the 9 major gun, like there's a lot of tuning that happens around it because there's no tracking that happens. Your gun is either going to like kind of like zero out or it's not, right? Like based on how you're holding it and all the crud that you put into your powder or whatever into the cartridge. There's no seeing it. It's super fast.
So what velocity does that 10.2 take you to?
I think 1450, like over 180 power factor.
So you're about 40% faster than my load. My load is about 1060 feet per second shooting a 125, and you're clocking over 400 feet per second faster.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the beginning and ending of your 9 major classification. If you don't know, or information, if you don't know more about that, that's not something to play around with.
I mean, if you know what you're doing, then sure. Or if you're getting into it, I got a buddy who actually just switched from CO/PCC to open. He got himself one of those new Bull Armory open guns, and he's super nerdy about the whole thing. So he's been testing all kinds of different powders and like here's my backup powder, my backup load in case I can't get this specific powder to get this weight. I look at the whole thing and I'm like, I would have been frustrated, throwing everything over my shoulders and walked away a week ago. Like, I don't know how you do that.
Shooting carry optics, man, because you can shoot anything off the shelf and it's pretty sweet. But then we got another gear question that managed to pop up there. Shadow 2 optic ready versus a SIG Legion X5. I'll field that one first. Really? I would say the Legion, honestly. And the reason I say the Legion is if you look at kind of the state of play with the way guns have changed over the past 2 years adapting to carry optics, it's changed a lot. And with a Legion, you can basically just throw the damn frame away and get another one. and do whatever the hotness thing is to it. It's more adaptable in that regard. And honestly, I don't think it's not leaving a lot on the table with the Shadow 2, in my opinion. It is bouncier because this bore axis is a bit higher, but it's easy to time. Like, it's very easy to observe the lift and return of the dot. So I think the Legion's a fantastic gun.
I can say, after having shot both an optics prepared Shadow 2, which I attempted to shoot and then failed miserably at, which you witnessed.
I got disqualified with one of those.
Yeah. And I've actually made a bunch of Legions here, which honestly, the biggest thing about the Legions, they weird me the hell out. You can grab them and, I'm used to shooting Glocks, right? And you have this plastic frame. You got this plastic frame. It's going to be top heavy and feel weird. And you pick up a Legion and it doesn't. And like your brain breaks for a minute. Other than that, actually, I think they're really good. I know a lot of people don't like the stock triggers. And I hear a lot about changing them basically as soon as they get them. I got to be honest, the stock trigger and it felt fine for me. But then again, I shoot Glocks. So there's that. But I would say if I had to pick something like I'm just going to get into the game and I haven't messed with anything, the SIG's probably the best way to go for the exact reason that it's modular. If I've been playing a while and, I'm used to it or I have a background in DASA, I might actually highly encourage the Shadow 2 over the Legion only because of the feel. Yeah, they're finicky. Yeah, they have their own issues, but realistically, they do have an amazing single action. They do shoot really well, and the ergos on them are definitely better than they are in the Legion.
Did you shoot your Shadow 2 long enough to have to change your trigger return spring?
Yeah, I broke it in I think it was 3 weeks. And I already had it in my bag, like that match, and that I had 2 slide stops and 3 trigger return springs. I already had the free float trigger return spring in there, so I could just pop it out and swap them real fast. Yeah, trust me. I knew what I was walking into when it came to breaking parts in mid-match.
All right, Coy, bring us home on this one.
I'm just gonna go with the easy way out. I would definitely go for really easy. So I know it doesn't make sense with the whole open major thing, but I'm a fan of the if somebody new came to me and said, hey, what gun do I get? It's definitely get the thing that you zero work to. And I think the Legion is it. Even before the recent rule change around weight and whatever, how do you not send someone to go shoot a SIG Legion?
If for $900, I mean, it's a pretty damn good deal.
Yep.
The trigger's kind of bad on them out of the box. It's very light, but it's kind of bad. But even still, it's not that bad. It's pretty good.
I'm minus connector Glock guy, so it's great to me.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat. I pick them up. I'm like, oh, this trigger's pretty good. That trigger's trash. I need to get this, that, and the other thing. Oh, okay.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. But yeah, I don't think that there's let's see, I'll just throw this up here and hide it again. There we go. So I'm curious what you guys think about as far as the state of the industry is concerned on this thing. They've already canceled NRAM, which is the NRA annual meeting. That's supposed to have been in April, and that's going to go away. So you think we're going to have a SHOT Show in January?
I'll say yes for SHOT Show.
Do you think people are going to shake hands at SHOT Show?
No, there's going to be a lot of this going on.
Yeah. Okay. Let's solve this problem for all of civilization. What is our new greeting since we can't shake hands?
Open mouth kisses.
Richard Pussies, they just kiss on the cheek. We're gonna open mouth kiss.
I'm down. Let's make this happen.
That'd go over real well on a job site. Just 2 dudes open.
I call it building immunity, man. Sharing germs, building the cultural immunity. It's great.
Do you think that the emphasis of the market is going to change from chasing Mill and Leo contracts to potentially just pumping out a bunch of low-priced crap for us to all panic buy?
No, the contracts from military are so big. That's so many more dollars. And it's one of the biggest reasons Glock doesn't really cater to the competition industry. All their competition guns are practical, tactical, and they're really meant for LEO, and they're just sort of convenient for competition shooters. But there's way too many dollars available in government contracts worldwide for them to worry about us peons.
No, but I mean, thinking about Sky and them rolling out their little optics ready thing, ain't nobody in any agency carrying a Sky. And Sky is because I talked to the rep who sent me that gun, and they've been crushing it ever since they released that. They can't make enough of them. The market responded really positively to their little $300 dot gun, which, I mean, it's a heck of a value. And the fact that it came from the factory with the red dot sight already mounted on it is kind of cool. It's almost like an OEM sight. I mean, yes, it is a Crimson Trace, but you can only get it on the top of one of those slides. So I think that's probably next, is that we're going to see guns coming, not optics ready, but with optics from the factory. And that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that'll be a little weird because, one of the biggest things, you went through and I'm going, I went through it, but now we're starting from finally see where optics are getting to the point where they're durable enough to reasonably carry, even durable enough for extended competition. But I mean, even as much as a year and a half ago, everybody just sort of accepted the fact that their dot was going to break at some point, which is not what I want on a carry gun. I want to make sure that whatever I've got on there is going to run. So there's an argument there that if they do cater to the panic buying masses, as you describe it, that we might actually see an improvement in dots too, because I do think dots are definitely becoming way more common. I mean, I'm getting to the point where I'm actually building a couple of carry guns with dots, because now there's optics I can use that I'm comfortable with, and I'd rather carry that way because I've been shooting competitively that way for 3 years. So,
Coy, you got a dot on your carry gun?
I don't, but
boomer. What a boomer!
Even worse, I've got fibers on my carry gun, so a lot of people might shake their head at that.
That's better, but still, man, I thought we were bros, and you're carrying it.
I had to give it all up to afford this up again.
Yeah, no joke. You showed me the receipt for that thing. You weren't lying.
Nope.
So I'm curious, do you guys think as a result of all of this panic buying that we have created a larger Second Amendment block, or is it all the people who already had the GATs who are just stacking them high in the garage?
I think yes, but it's not as big as you might think. To me, I guess the Corona uptick of interest is kind of in line with the regular timing. So we're on this like 4-year turn, right? So I don't know if politics is allowed or not, but basically every 4 years or so, there's like a sudden surge, right? So this is like 6 months ahead of the curve, but I mean, we're basically there. Yeah,
the timing is kind of surreal because there was going to be a run up at this election, as there always is when there's threat of somebody has gun control as part of their platform running. But I'm curious because to me, it seems like it is kind of a gateway drug. Like once you actually have the ability to put lead down range and realize that you can protect yourself, it's kind of tough to walk that back and say, like, just put the genie back in the bottle and let the government take care of you. So to me, it's like a gateway drug of creating more independent folks. So I'm hoping that a lot of these gun sales are to first-time gun buyers, but I don't have access to the data to know whether or not. Well, you're down in Austin where they keep it weird. What do you think, Brian?
We've been seeing, honestly, and actually, there's one of the things. There's an Austin Guns Reddit that I'm on that I watch periodically, and I will see some stunningly stupid things in there, and I'll see some kind of nice things. But I think for the most part, what I've seen is the buying here hasn't really been much panic buying stuff, as far as like, oh man, I'm a gun owner and I need these 3 different things. The stuff that's flying off the shelves are, they're shotguns, they're, basic rifles, they're low rent ARs. It's people are buying their Glock 40, in case they gotta
understand.
It's just one of those things. But it's interesting that I think most of the run that happened up, at least until today, because now with the shelter in place, all gun stores except for GT distributors are closed. The only reason GTs is staying open is because they service LEO and first responders, and so they're considered a necessary business, and so they don't have to shutter, and there's nothing about FFLs having to stop. So they are the only game in town right now. Just kind of annoying, frankly. But yeah, so there's been a run, but I think most of it is people who are first timers, people who are buying what they think their first gun should be. Somebody maybe who's on the fence who finally said, okay, I got to do this. I'm not seeing as much, at least from the gun guys I know, that are going out and buying things that they wish they should have bought. I think a lot of us are just kind of like, meh, we've got what we need.
I mean, honestly, I got into guns as a result of the Aurora shooting. It's like president's gonna take some executive action on it. It's like, shit, I'm gonna go get a high cap pistol because I've always wanted one, and I'm not gonna let that asshole take that right away from me. So I did, and now fast forward, and I look like this. I have a beard and pistols.
Make you go faster, bro. I'm just saying.
Change everything. All right. So, do you think that the product offerings we see over this next 6 to 12 months are going to be just recycled crap, kind of like they were at SHOT Show this past year, or do you think they're actually going to continue to put money toward R&D, or is their entire focus going to be shifted toward just make more of the things so we can sell them?
Definitely on the latter. I think I'll say I think it depends on what part of the industry you're in. If you're like some random little small machine shop on the side, you're probably not making little doodads anymore, and you're like 1,000% focused on making a bazillion AR levers. You know what I mean? But if you have an established business, it's probably business as usual.
This is actually interesting. Bald and Curious hails from New York, and he's saying that there's a lot of new gun owners, but especially shotguns. So it looks like the Biden effect is keeping it going.
Oh, man.
So the shotgun is the gun you use if you want to threaten union auto workers to fight.
That's terrible. Terrible. It's not wrong.
Other people's faces. All right, that was bad. I'm sorry if I'm turning other people off with bad political jokes. Just 2 articles that I found this week when I was doing a little bit of prep is there have been so Johnny B here on YouTube had a video that the NICS check has gone down for new first-time gun buyer type folks because it's completely swamped, which is to be expected based on the numbers everyone's reporting for new gun sales. But another interesting article is that many gun stores are actually refusing to transfer guns from online purchases. So if you don't buy the gun from them, they're just going to sit on your gun until the panic buying's over with.
Or they'll ship it. A couple of them said there in that article that they're actually refusing shipment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I just skimmed the article. I didn't actually read the whole thing.
I did.
Skimming headlines to see what they had and reading the little jump blurb. But they also on T-Tag said that Hornady is good for maintaining their current levels of production until supply gets caught up on ammo, which is good. But I mean, as everyone has already stipulated, I think we're probably done seeing 22 LR for the rest of the year. So if you didn't buy any, that sucks. I hate that for you, but probably not going to be any. This is a good question. DWX is supposed to be at Q1, which really meant Christmas. When do you think they'll be shipping them out now? That's an interesting question, and the reason why is because Dan Wesson basically makes guns for rich folk, and that's not the guns that are selling in this panic buy. So what do you think? You think we're going to see a DWX third quarter, second quarter? Certainly not.
Warren, I saw someone like on Instagram because I'm on the gram now. But I could have.
Yeah.
But I think I thought I saw some T&E models already out in people's hands. Usually by the time T&E models come out, it's only a few months till they hit the market after that. Especially when people start running around with them, and they're like, yeah, it's cool. You can put it on social media to show people you're shooting them. So
I asked for a T&E model. They didn't send me one.
You aren't cool enough.
No, I'm clearly not. And I shit all over CZ in a bunch of videos. So there's that.
Yeah, you're not making any friends that way.
Yeah, it's funny what happens when you speak your opinion on the internet. But and then this was one I kind of threw in. You probably already saw this. So what is the best PDW in your opinion, and why is it the Ruger PC Charger takedown? Because it is the Ruger Charger takedown.
Why is it take? I totally get okay, cool. We're gonna make the Ruger Charger. It's the PCC. We're gonna make it super short. We're gonna put the pistol brace on it. Go SBR it. Have a good time with it. Why is it a takedown? Really? It's so that Boy, that
You
barrel.
need that extra
Boy,
3
I
inches.
can break that thing apart.
This is America. Yeah, I guess since it is a side folder, I don't know why you need to take the barrel off. It doesn't make sense to me either. But even if it didn't, the barrel didn't come off. Just the side folder PC charger is pretty awesome. Coy, would you shoot PCC with one of these? Coy used to shoot PCC. Also, judge him in the comments right now. He's pretty good at it, but still judge him.
Shame.
I'll shoot anything, but I don't know. I'm somewhat ashamed to admit, but same story as you. Got into guns kind of at the height of an election hype period, and definitely was a Timmy when I started. So I'm very partial still to a lot of Timmy tendencies. I'm definitely in that MP5 gang kind of for PDW type stuff.
No, I could not. Now there's a comment here. So as you guys are no doubt aware, I shot my Glock 43X. I could not beat Coy with a 43X. Coy would mop the floor with me with his PCC. I have a hard time keeping up with him with my CO gun. Coy would usually get me with his PCC and me shooting CO. So as much as I like to think about myself and being an awesome shooter, it's not gonna happen.
Wait, when you got 70 round mags, there's no reason to lose, right?
If you do, you're doing it wrong. Like I realize running with like a 4-foot stick in your hand is a problem, but even still, like the rate at which you can split on targets and how easy the transitions are. I mean, if you have a little bit of visual patience, you should mop the floor with everybody but an open shooter. Like, there's no reason to.
So this guy that's switching to open, his PCC is one of those CMMG Banshees. So it's like sort of an AR style, but it's got that delayed blowback bolt. Holy bolt. He got it and he SPR'd it and put a stock on it, right? And he's been shooting in PCC. This guy splits mid-match. It's like, whack, whack, whack. More than once he's been stopped when he triple taps a target. He's actually had ROs stop him and investigate to make sure he's not shooting full auto. And you just see him, he'll rip 2 splits and then the target's 15 yards. It's like, yeah, the rounds are like that. I mean, it's nuts. If you have a good PCC and you know what you're doing with it, it is. And the funny thing was, it's also the Banshees. The one's got like the 5 1/4 inch barrel, so it's like super short. And then he's got
Aaron we're talking about here.
Yeah, you remember Aaron? You shot with him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, he's doing that, and then he's got the MBX, plus 8 billion extension on the bottom of it. I'm pretty sure the ball is taller than it is long.
PCC is the reason we have ammo shortages, not this panic buying. It's just PCC shooters.
How many bullets do you need? All of them.
All of them. Every one. They get ready for a match just like John Wick gets ready for the hotel shootout in that movie. But yeah, PCC.
Yeah,
so Coy, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, everyone does the normal like stage planning type stuff, and when shooting PC and even now with open, a lot of people are like, well, how many rounds did you get on your walkthrough? It's like, honestly, I don't know. Here's like 5 targets, here's like 6 targets, and here's 7 targets. So however many rounds that is, I've got it covered.
I've got I don't reload. It's just not a thing. But the only time you do reload in PCC is when you have a malfunction, and that is fairly common for most PCC shooters who haven't taken the time to proof their gear.
Or it's a classifier, and then it's hilarious.
Yeah, that's true. This is a fun story. So a few months ago, I shot with a new-ish shooter. Coy, you know this lady. She is new to the game, and she shoots PCC, very diminutive in stature. And we roll up on the classifier, and I read the stage briefing to her, and it's a mandatory reload classifier. She goes, no, I don't have to reload. I shoot PCC. I'm like, no, you have to reload because the stage briefing says you have to reload. She's like, well, I don't have any mag pouches. It's like, then tuck it in your waistband or put it in your pocket. You got to reload because the stage briefing says you have to reload. So it's like, well, this is bullshit. Like, yeah, it's a reality shooting PCC. I'm sorry. Sometimes you have to reload. I was really afraid for my life and scared she was going to DQ in that match. And she didn't, and I was proud of her for it. And I never want to squad with her again. It was terrifying.
I've had those shooters on my squads.
Bald says he can beat me, but I have to run 10-round mags. If you come down to Texas and shoot a match, I will shoot whatever division you want with 10-round mags. Let's do this.
Single stack minor, baby.
Alden Curious is from Australia. He has a really awesome Australian accent. It'd be really amusing. We would go get some beers. It would be awesome. It would be awesome. I think I only have one more thing on my agenda. And Coy, I don't know if you've taken a Steve Anderson class, but I just did. And Brian, I know you've taken one in the past.
Yep. Recent past. I took it in November.
November, okay. Very recently.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got your M card like right afterwards.
Yeah, and I think that was because you goaded me into it, and I regret every minute of it afterwards. But that's a whole other issue.
Man, every time you class up, you suck in that class. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, but dude, I'm like an 84.73% M. I actually dropped percentage below 85 after an extra class.
I'm on your heels at 84.5 then.
It's horrendous.
That was an interesting class. And I mean, I've taken a few, high-speed trainer classes, and the ones that focus on technique, I've noticed that I don't get any better taking their class. Like I've taken the Ben class before, and it was eye-opening to see how good he is. But like the biggest breakthroughs I got through taking the Ben class was in my movement through working with his then wife at the time, Keita. She helped me out a lot on how I accelerated.
Exact same experience. I took the class when Ben was teaching it with Keita, and I think I got more from working with Keita than I ever did from Ben.
Yeah. So I can tell you right now, I'm a better shooter today through having taken the Steve Anderson class than I was prior to taking it, just through the tweaks in preparing to shoot the stage, how to shoot the stage, and just, I know it's all woo-woo and BS, but it's mental management stuff. Like everyone's like, oh, your self-image doesn't matter. Maybe the self-image doesn't matter that much, but a lot of his strategies for managing how you think about the stuff, like I can tell you quantifiably that my performance improved through sitting there and doing the nonsense that he was. It's not nonsense because it works, but it actually worked. And I'm curious if your experience was the same. Like I took the Ben class and I shot a match the following weekend. I didn't do any better in those matches than I did, but I can tell you through just the drills and the stages we were running, as I continued to kind of build on the techniques he was giving me, like I was a better shooter leaving the class. And it wasn't just me, like every other shooter in the class had demonstrably leveled up by the end of the class. Like there was a D class limited shooter in the class, and she was just there kind of because her husband was there, and she was shooting solid C's. Like she started the class like Charlie Delta-ing static targets at 10 yards, and she was finishing the class shooting like Alpha Charlies on 14-yard partials on the move. It was a marked improvement. Nice. And I mean, she couldn't shoot groups to save her life. She was shooting like sheet of paper sized groups at 15 yards. And after doing his group shooting drill, he shrank the groups down to probably, 3 or 4 inches at 15 yards, which is decent. It's pretty good.
Yeah. No.
So I'm curious if that was similar to your experience with it as far as watching people level up, and if you felt like you were actually a better shooter walking out of that class.
So I'll quantify 2 things. The first one is that I've taken some training classes from different people. Obviously, we've both taken the Ben class. The Ben class, I actually shot a falling steel match the following weekend, and I tore it up. The biggest thing I got out of the Ben class for me was that I was one of those guys that was a B class. And the reason I was a B class was because I was super accurate. I'd finish a match with like 97% of points, and I'd be 30 seconds slower than everybody. So when he finally got on me about going faster, that was my one breakthrough that I had with Ben. Everything else functionally with movement and how to track targets, all that came from Keita. So it definitely improved me. But I think a lot of the stuff that I got out of the other classes, not just his, but some of the other training I've taken that are like, here's how you do a thing. You have to practice it for 6 months before it pays off. It's not tomorrow you're going to be better. The Anderson class is definitely different. The one I took was I guess he's not calling him beginner and advanced. But the one we're taking
is fundamentals and skills and drills. I took skills and drills with Ben.
Well, I'm talking about the Anderson class because he's got the one you took is his mental management or whatever. The one I took was like his fundamentals, whatever.
No, it's his advanced class, which is a terrible name.
Yeah.
Because he didn't really give us any techniques. He literally just worked with us on getting them. Like he didn't make us better shooters. but he got more out of the skill we already possessed. Like if you think about what your throughput is on what your potential is in practice, you're able to realize more of it if you follow his woo-woo mental management stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm a firm believer that, I mean, he didn't make me better. It's not like we did dry fire tune-ups or anything like that. It was stuff I knew I could do in practice, I could do on the clock now.
So when I took his basic class, we'll call it that, there was a lot of dry fire. There was a lot of working on the fundamentals. There was a lot of run some drills, run them again, evaluate it, run them again, break them down, run different pieces. So there was a lot of the more functional shooting, actual like how to make this better. I would say 85% of the class was super useful to me. There's about 15% of it that I tried and it wasn't working well for me, and I'm not a particular fan of some of the stuff. And that's okay. I always go into a class with the mindset I'm going to try everything, and if it doesn't work, I leave it on the table. If it does, then I take it with me. But the thing I found that was kind of amazing was he gave a few simple tips with a lot of the fundamentals, turn and draw. For example, turn and draw used to be the bane of my existence. Now I get excited when I see them. It was just, there was some simple stuff that was like, well, do this and then move your shoulder back. And then it was suddenly just the world opened up and they're like, oh, Christ, this is easy. I'm burning everything down. It was kind of amazing. I think the other piece of that was similar to your experience, was that he had us doing drills and working on things. And it wasn't so much that my skill level improved. It was that he took the skill that I already had and made it more consistent and usable. So what came out of that class was that I was able to take what I had, but more consistently apply it to figure out the things that were going wrong, clean them up, and then move forward with it. So that was kind of the thing I noticed with that class, that, yes, I came out of that class and 2 weeks later went and shot a match, and I had a much better match overall. It was a local match, but it was, for me, like, I didn't come away from every stage going, oh God, I screwed this up, I screwed that up, I missed this, I should have done this. I got to the end of each stage and I was like, yeah, no, that was good. Okay, we're going to fix a few things, but we're going to carry on to the next stage and it's going to be all right. And when I got out of that match, I ended up burning it down. And I've been focused on that since. I guess, man, this was... Ooh.
For everybody else, he took high overall against an open GM the other week.
Yeah, it was about 2 months ago. I actually beat an open GM and a PCC GM for high overall at a local match. Our local club here's got some heat to it. There's actually, like, we have good shooters that show. But yeah, I had a burn down match. Like, every stage I walked away from, like, it was like the sky had opened up and there was like little angels over me, and I walked off the stage and it was heavenly. It was definitely a good experience as far as, how I felt about the match. Of course, then I went and shot Henry Cup 2 weeks later and just, I don't know, it all went sideways for me. So.
See, that's my kind of match because it's hard and I'm not fast, but I can shoot. So it takes away other people.
The thing with Henry is I had pretty good points overall compared to everybody else, but against the other M's, I was like 15 seconds slower. So I'm like, man, I got to find more speed. I'm like, I'm too fat for this.
So, Coy, I don't think you've taken a Steve class. Am I right?
I haven't, but I listened to the podcast. I fast forward through all the music. It's pretty cool stuff. I actually, every single time I miss one of his classes, I feel super jealous because I want to see, I guess, some of the magic happen. I've seen a couple of the local shooters that have taken it kind of in the past. People like, let's call them like semi-casual shooters, go from kind of let's say less than exciting draws to like 0.7 on hardcover partial at 15 yards, and it you look at that and you're like, what did I just watch?
I don't know if you checked out on Facebook, but there's a local open shooter who shoots with her husband, so you know her. And I watched a couple snippets of her class with Steve, and she was ripping like sub-second draws all of a sudden, which was never a thing with her. And watching her do position entries and exits, I mean, she had the gun up. She was ripping shots as her weight settled in on her lead foot. And that was never something that she would do on her own. So I would say she leveled up.
One of the things that we were doing, just as an example, and what you're talking about, I watched happen in that class, by the way. Also, Steve Anderson is exactly what you think he is. If you watch his podcast, like he teaches the class like he's a rock star. Like that's just the way he is. So you're not getting
a lot of sophomoric jokes about
Yeah.
boobs and penises and things like that.
Yeah. What you think he is going to be like from his podcast is exactly what he's like in person. But like, so we did a one drill in our class where we were doing 180-degree transitions. So we were literally swung from one piece of steel all the way over to another, and we were using these like. It was like an 8-inch piece of steel, and they were at like 15 yards on either side of us. And the idea was you started, and it was just the transition. So you're already dot on the first piece of steel or sights on the first piece of steel, and it was buzzer goes off, hit that piece of steel, transition, hit the other one. How long was the transition? I got to the point where I was doing a 180-degree transition in like 0.35, 33 consistently. Yeah, you're making the face. I'm telling you, it happened in the middle of that class. And it's weird because he starts, again, it's not that the skill wasn't there. I had it. I know I could transition fast. I didn't know I could transition that far that fast.
I can't believe you did, man. That's a really spicy transition.
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
How far away was the target?
They were like 15-ish yards. They were somewhere
15
like
yards, ripping 0.35 transitions on an 8-inch plate. That's nuts, man.
Yeah. And it was all, and the thing was, it was weird. Like
I would imagine that's like a 0.8 second transition. Like if I were to go do it right now, cold.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, he'll get you down there. Like we were racing at the end. There was 3 or 4 of us that were racing for the fastest transition. And that's how it goes in those classes. It's stupid. But like I said, the thing that he does is not that he's taking, there wasn't somebody in that class that was like suddenly way better than they were when they walked in. It was that he took their skill and figured out, okay, this is the thing you're doing wrong that's getting in the way of what you're doing well. So stop doing the thing that's getting in the way and do all the stuff that works well. And then suddenly everything just works well. I mean, there's no better way to describe that. It was kind of a nuts thing to experience for the most part. There was one dude who took that class who doesn't shoot competitively at all. He was shooting it with a stock Glock 19 with the crap sights, with a stock Glock trigger. This kid, I mean, 15-yard target, he was running jailbait splits, and he was running 2 alphas all day long with this thing. Just whap, 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 whap. And again, when he first got there, he was Alpha, Charlie Delta, 2 Charlie when we were running stages. But by the end of it, he was just splitting like a madman. It was just always alphas. So you see some weird stuff happen in those classes as far as the progressions. But I don't argue that anybody suddenly picked up skill. I think he just figures out how to get the stuff that's getting in your way out of your way.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. But I mean, that's when you get to a certain level. I mean, that's really what you're after. Is you're trying to figure out how to raise your best cold run. That's because that's what the whole game is. It's just you get one try. How do you make that try the best you can?
Yep.
Listen to Steve Anderson and his woo-woo mental management stuff, and it works. That's
it's all Lanny Basham stuff, and
Yeah,
I didn't know much about him. I didn't realize the guy was actually an Olympic shooter from the 70s, and he wrote all this stuff starting out doing Olympic 3 position, and so that was kind of his thing. Like he basically had a bomb event, and he said, "Okay, no more. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to make this happen." So, I give the guy some credit, but yeah, what's the book he always pushes. It's with winning
in mind.
Yeah.
He still reads that all the time. Apparently, he got certified by Basham's got some sort of like it's basically like a franchise thing where he like trains you to be a trainer sort of thing. And Steve is one of those. And apparently, he signed some ridiculous contract and he can teach other people in that. But all in all, I mean, that was money very well spent taking that class. I mean, it was not cheap to take it, but it was everything I for, and it's kind of raised the bar in what I would look at another trainer, because looking through that of the lens of taking like a Ben class or whatever, like Ben just shows you techniques. Like I'm really good at drawing, I'm really good at reloading, and like the stage breakdown stuff was really good, but it's tough to really take that and do something with it, because like the message I came away with Ben is just like just keep working hard, keep your head down, and really grind it out, and you're gonna get there. But
I think it depends on where you're at.
Like, no, I'm a better shooter. I know I am, and this is the way it is. So, with that said, it's getting to be about that time to go shelter in our beds at that point, hide from the coronavirus under the covers. Hey, oh, look at that. Hey, Coy, did you notice that Brian has on your favorite hat?
Yeah, that's right.
Coy
Beaver
is
Nuggets,
famous
food of the
around
gods.
the North Texas area for his tie-dye Bucky's hat. It's not really tie-dye. It's more like a retro 80s sort of.
Trying to get that
awesome
Bucky's
hat.
sponsorship.
Actually, I was
Hey,
wearing this one along the.
on all the rest of chat because we get to enjoy the amazingness that is Bucky's gas stations, and all these people don't even know what that beaver on your hat means. So, in your face, all the rest of the country, we have Bucky's gas stations.
You do not understand the glory, the size of Bucky's, or the wonderment that are Beaver Nuggets.
Beaver Nuggets are pretty good. Okay, we'll go across around the horn here. Favorite snack from Bucky's? Go, Coy.
Oh god. You put me on the spot here. Jerky.
All right, we'll skip you. We'll come back to you. Brian, go. Favorite snack from Bucky's?
Legitimately Beaver Nuggets, and in fact, every time I go shoot a major, especially if I'm driving, it's a tradition at this point, and I have to. I do stop at Bucky's, I get a cup of coffee and a bag of Beaver Nuggets, and any major I shoot, at some point I have consumed some Beaver Nuggets and I've had some Bucky's coffee. And I still argue that's completely a benefit to me. Makes me a better person inside. You know, it saves humanity in ways that I can't explain. But yeah,
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. It depends how hungry I am at Bucky's, because if you're real hungry, their barbecue sandwiches aren't bad. They're okay, and their breakfast tacos are amazing. Their breakfast tacos, the Rhino is fantastic. I ordered 2 of those my first time there, thinking like I normally get 2 breakfast tacos. So I ordered 2 Rhinos. That's not a good move. Don't do that. It's a one breakfast taco kind of place.
Yep.
But if I'm not that hungry, they've got amazing beef jerky, and the Beaver Nuggets are pretty.
They're terrible for you, but I'm telling you, they make you a better person. So it's worth it.
What cereal is it that they remind you of?
Captain Crunch.
Yeah, okay. I'll go with that. All right, Coy. You've had time to pontificate. What is it?
So I must have said jerky originally, but now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure every major in Texas, I picked like a couple of like Rice Krispies. You know, they put like a ton of marshmallow. It's like that. I'm sure it raises your hit factor.
All right, I'll go with that.
That's fair.
Or your level. I don't know. Same thing.
So, Bob Jones is also a fellow Bucky's. Let's just see. Brisket sandwich. Boom. Do we have any other Bucky's people in here? No. None of the rest of these peasants have been to Bucky's. So, but I appreciate you guys jumping on with me. Wanted to try to do some chats since we're living in the COVID era and there's not a lot to do.
Yeah, hey man, this
I don't know if it's become a regular thing or not. We'll play it by ear, but appreciate you guys coming on. And everybody in chat, thanks for hanging out with us. See you later, guys. In broadcast.